stock market is just gambling. That's a lie I've been hearing. I think because everyone's been telling me this anyway. They've been like, well, there's always this. Isn't the stock market just gambling? No, it's not. The stock market is not gambling. So let's tell the difference between the two of them, gambling and investing. First, let's define investing by describing it in action, meaning investing is fuel to solve a problem. So by definition, investments are always 100% profitable, as long as the problem that they're trying to solve gets executed correctly. And if the problem is reoccurring, your money will be compounded. So, to illustrate my point, let's use an example to show you what I mean. A way people solved, show you what I mean, like an example from the past in history, how people solved the problem, all right? Be warned, this example is extremely simplified though. There are more complex factors about the economy than this, but this is just for an example. Anyway, so Merchant A, who owns a single ship in the Netherlands, wishes to sell their goods for spices in India. It's also the 1600s, so you're using sailboats. There is a 100% chance that their goods will sell for 50,000 guilders in India, and on the return trip, there is a 100% chance that Merchant A will sell their Indian spices that they get from India, and they bring them back to the Netherlands. They'll get a $100,000 profit or guilder profit. If it costs $50K to pay a crew to maintain and pilot the ship, Merchant A will profit $100,000. Notice how, in this example, that bringing spices back to Europe will 100% guarantee that he will make money, right? So it's not like there's no gamble in his. He just needs to solve the problem of the transport problem. He needs to get from India to the Netherlands, and then from the Netherlands to India. That's the problem he's trying to solve, But once he solves that problem, then he'll make money. It's not at all like gambling. Notice how it's not gambling at all. That's what I mean by 100% at point of sale. Anyway, and if you still don't understand how this is profitable, I'll give you an example in another video. We'll talk later. But anyway, what I mean to say is that the merchant is guaranteed to make a profit by mathematics, okay? It's not opinion, it's just objective fact. If it weren't profitable, the merchant wouldn't risk his ship and crew. Instead, he would look for a more profitable type of trade to risk his money. Which brings me to my next point, risk. The only risk involved is the dangerous round trip between India and the UK, transporting the goods, right? You'll notice that the risk is the problem that the merchant's trying to solve. What can solve this problem faster? Let's see if he can solve this problem faster. So it's the 1600s after all, and sailing is very risky, especially for a single vessel. If the ship sinks, is plundered, or even the crew mutinies, there will be no money. Let's say there is a 50% chance that the merchant will succeed in this venture. But wait a minute, why should Merchant A accept this risk? To minimize the risk, Merchant A asks other merchants, Merchant B through Z, to go on this trip together. More ships mean more people to work those ships. More people means more knowledge, experience, and provisions. This will greatly increase the chances of a successful round-trip voyage. So instead of a 50% success rate, there is a 70 or 80 or even 90% chance of success. Also, you can imagine a scenario where Merchant B's ship sank on the successful voyage, but Merchant C and A's ship survived. So the profits are still shared between the three of them, and from the profits that B receives, mathematically would be enough to repay for his lost ship, plus he would still get paid. So there is even a safety from the risk of losing ships. There's safety in numbers here. So the merchants are intending to solve the dangerous trek by traveling together. That's going to be the plan, So, as the example continues, Merchant A, B, and C wish to fill their ships with cargo, but they don't have enough money to fill the cargo space fully because they want to maximize profits, so they want the full cargo space. They have enough money to fill maybe some of the space, but not all of it. They still need more money. It would be like you would take out a loan, right? But it's the 1600s. You can't take out a loan. the only way to take out a loan is to find people with money. So the merchants then look for investors. Oh no, those are the people. This is technically where you come in. You're the investor. People with a lot of money to fill up their cargo space. So they can share the profits, right? So the investor will spend $70,000 to fill the rest of the space for the 3 ships in exchange for a percentage of the profits, right? And maybe this deal lasts forever. Maybe this becomes a reoccurring thing, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, this guy has stock in the ships. Oh my gosh. Yes. So yes, in this scenario, there are 3 parties: the merchant, the crew, and the investor. Each party has a chance to make money, but each party is rooting for each other's success. They're not rooting for each other's failure. So the merchant only gets paid if the voyage is successful, the crew gets paid if the voyage is successful, and the investor gets paid if the voyage is successful. So they're all 3 of them are trying to work together to solve this problem of getting the goods there safely and getting the goods back safely so they can make money against the risk of the problem, which is, the stormy seas and the long journey and people get seasick and all this stuff on this trip to India is terrible. See? And if the voyage fails, all 3 parties also fail. So that's good. So, but merchant A, B, and C were lucky. They were well connected and knew a rich king to invest in them. But merchant Z would have loved to receive cash from a rich king, but he was never able to get well connected. Merchant Z says, well, instead of one rich individual giving me 7,000 guilders, I'll find 70,000 people to give me 1 guilder each. And now Merchant Z has 70,000 people invested, rooting for his successful voyage. So you can see how this became the precursor to the stock market. And literally, they would call themselves the VOC, or as you like to call it, the Dutch East Indian Trading Company. Yes, we know. Okay. All right. But not everything was safe for Merchant Z's voyage, for certain investors wished him to fail. I'll explain that in another video. But in the meantime, let's use a casino as an example. So now we're getting back to gambling. So let's use a casino as an example. In the same way, Merchant A opens up a casino. He already has casino equipment, a bar, his crew, staff, but they just need a loan for some land. So he goes to the bank investor to get a building, and then you come in on opening night at 8 p.m. with the boys looking to make millions off roulette. You put everything on black. You have a 48% chance to win because don't forget, there's green 0 and double 0 green chance of winning. So, but hold on, wait a minute. Notice in this scenario, you're not the investor in this in the roulette roll at all. The bank who loaned the money is the investor in the casino. So who are you? All right? Because if you win, the merchant loses, the crew loses, the bar crew loses, the people who work at the casino lose. And if you win, the investor loses as well. So they're all in cahoots against you. The investor is the bank, the guy who gave the loan to the merchant. So comparing the 2 examples, like comparing this example to the 1600s example from the VOC and the ships, you are not the investor, but you are the cargo. You're the item that is making the casino money. Yeah. So the more money you lose at the casino, the more money Merchant A receives. So Merchant A can pay the crew's salary and your money pays the investor. Therefore, the 3 parties all agree to mathematically rig the game against the gambler. That's you. You're the gambler. That's why you're not an investor, you're a gambler. See how you're the cargo? See, but they call you you're really the cargo, but they call you the investor. Anyway, and you know all this. Basically the whole point is just to get you to play, right? On top of it, they add the psychological effect of serving alcohol, ruining your inhibitions, hiring attractive people. Oh, what? There's hot chicks over here. What do you mean? We got to go see it. And then the place usually has no windows, so, you never know what time it is. It's like, there's a lot of flashing lights, keep you awake, there's loud music probably. They're pumping the area with oxygen, trying to keep you awake, Keep going, keep betting. A casino is using every type of bell and whistle to persuade you to play. Because if you lose, because you're going to lose. That's the game's rigged against you. You're going to lose. And I don't want you to portray, and now, by the way, I don't want to portray casinos in a negative light. I mean, or even portray them as swindlers or thieves. I mean, this is what people sign up for. That's why you go to a casino to gamble. It's supposed to be fun. You show up, you go, they wish to be entertained, not to invest in money. We're not going there to invest in money. I'm expecting to lose money when I go to the casino. It's just like, well, you want to do some bets? That's it. Just a few bets, Anyway. And I mean, that's why I'm just trying to show you the difference, how that gambling, you are not an investor when you go to a gambling, when you start gambling, when you bet on sports, when you bet on anything, right? The bookie always, the house always wins, So in the gambling, you're the cargo, you're not the investor. So don't think of yourself as an investor when you're betting, you're gambling your money. Investing is the fuel to solve a problem. If the problem is solved, you will make money. If the problem is reoccurring, you'll make more money, compound your money. So just wanted to get back to the difference, investing and gambling. So just remember, you're the cargo. Don't be the cargo.